10 dogs. Remember,
as long as it's not 10 dogs, I'm flattered.
Members, please remain standing to observe a moment of silence and prayer. Thank you. You can take your seats. Where's everything? Is this chair not high today? Morning, honorable members. I hope everybody is well. We'll start with the business of the day. Just by way of announcement, the Office of the Integrity Commissioner has distributed the declaration of interest forms to all members. The deadline for submission is 21st March 2023. Members are encouraged to seek one-on-one support from the Office of the IC in relation to completing forms. We are reminded, members, to submit your declaration of interest forms to the IC or to my office on the 21st, before or on the 21st of March 2023. Thank you. We have guests, honorable members from the AG's office, or rather, the team from the AG's office in the gallery. It's Ms. Melissa McCarthy, Deputy Business Unit Leader, and Ms. Nicola Dicken, Stakeholder Liaison Manager. Today's sitting is a bit unique. It's 2 meetings or 2 sessions in one. The first one is the ordinary one that we are having now. We'll adjourn a bit. Then the second session will be when the AGSA team addresses us. They'll come up here to the podium, then address and interact with you members. You'll interact with them, ask questions, make comments, and so on. They'll be giving you a reflection of what the GPL looks like, if we are healthy or not, and what becomes the way forward. This is a session that has been started before. The AGSA had come to visit GPL, spoke to us, and made reflections on what they'll be working on. So it's more of a feedback of what they found in working with our affairs as the GPL. Thank you. Moving right along, apologies. We have apologies from Honorable Premier, attending a crime intelligence ministerial imbizo with Minister Qele. Honorable Nkosimo Labane, the Chair of Chairs, official GPL business. Member Shilwane will be joining us late. Member Miller will be joining us late. Member Patrick Atkinson, late arrival as well, joining us late. Member Bosch, overseas with GPL Community Safety Committee. Member Rohan Robinson, overseas as well with GPL Community Safety Meeting. Those are the apologies before us. Moving right along to motion without notice, as per Rule 120. Member Makubele, Chief Whip. You can't hear me? John? You can't hear me? Your microphones are not working. What's not working? Okay, I'll use my short voice. The motion without notice, Honorable Chief Whip, I do not suppose there are members who were able to join online. There isn't. Also, there's nobody participating online. Can you stand, Honorable Makubele, to amplify your voice at least? There is no online. That's what we've been advised by the Presidium. Eh? We are at work today, eh? That's why you're doing this. Okay, it's being organized. Okay, fine. Let's proceed with those that are here, that are able to participate. Motion without notice, Member Makubele. Whips, please make sure that those of your members who are online, because it's being organized, let them know so that they're able to participate as and when the online setup is up and ready. Yes, you are. It's your time to speak.
No, thank you very much, Madam Speaker. We have members of a committee of community safety who can't be physical today because they have undertaken a study tour. And therefore, as a result, we would have asked the institution to avail an online link so that they can all be able to be in attendance. And this includes Madam Speaker of the House, the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee, and members of the committee. We are humbly asking the institution to make that available, because starting this particular sitting without all of them joining online, it creates a serious challenge. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is that being arranged? Okay, that's noted. It's being arranged. I think it will be alerted as and when
The directive was that this thing
that
is
is
physical.
ready. Honorable Chief Whip, you've forgotten that you are on the program. Motion without notice. Okay, let's move on. We do not have MEC statements, member statements.
Speaker,
Yes.
the directive was that this process is physical.
Colleagues? Okay. Member Makwala? The directive was that it must be physical. It was communicated to whips and everybody. Is that the... Okay. Members, whips. Member Makubele, can you focus on myself? Yeah, the leader is now here, the one off here. We're advised that you were advised, all of you, especially whips, that the sitting is physical. How do we reconcile with the request made now and the advice given to members that we must be physical? I want to be advised.
No, thank you very much, Madam Speaker. There is no such an advice. Our sittings are hybrid. our sittings are hybrid, and all party whips are aware of that. And we had agreed in the previous, I think the member has just joined, I think when we have the whips forum, we'll take him through even including the minutes. So our sittings are hybrid, and then as time goes on, we'll be facing in a full physical sittings. And that's why even some of the committees still remain virtual, others are sitting physical for oversight purposes. So I think it becomes a serious challenge when we sponsor in that which we have not agreed on, just for the sake of doing that. Madam Speaker, thank you very much.
Honorable member?
Speaker, thank you very much. And Chief Whip, I hear what you say, but I want to state categorically, we were informed that today's sitting, as there was one last week as well, is only physical, nothing online. And I mean, there's a reason for that, and the speaker also gave that through. And I've got the correspondence. I'm not going to go into an argument. I'm just saying I've got correspondence to the effect. Thank you.
Chair, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker. Okay. Yes, that's why.
Not addressed to you, Lise Roman. Come. Don't be emotional.
I mean, Dombe has an apology. Then the same institution she's leading, then puts a. What is this? Voters voter lento ya ku hela.
Yes, member. I'm advised here that the community safety members are the only ones who were given, or rather whom the Presidium says they were given some special accommodation on the basis that was communicated that the committee members will be absent and they will be joining virtual. Those are the only ones that are known and will be accommodated by the virtual sitting. Chief Whip, you wanted to say something?
Madam Speaker, as they create the virtual link, please ask them to fix your mic. We are battling to hear you, Madam Speaker. And I know you have a shop steward voice. It means there's a problem with the sound there as they fix the virtual link. That email which has been sent by the institution, I don't know who sent it. I don't know who on whose behalf that email was sent. But the sittings of the legislature remain hybrid until a decision is taken here in the House and processed from the Whips Forum, taken to the programming committee, and then we finalize it. That's how things are done. And anyone who sent that particular email, without this matter being processed by the formal structures of this particular August House, it becomes a problem, Madam Speaker. There's a person who sent that email, and that person needs to actually explain to yourselves, because the head of the institution is sending me a message saying she's looking for a link. And for me, I find it very strange. The Speaker of the House looking for a link. And one of her subordinates has sent an email to members of this House to say that no, the sitting is strictly physical. Can we fix the virtual link and start the meeting, Madam Speaker?
Honorable Makube, Honorable Chief Whip.
Speaker.
Honorable members, this is how we are going to work. Community safety members are the ones who are going to have a link. The hybrid or the physical meetings, Honorable Chief Whip, this was resolved last year, that we must go back to physical meetings. So if this has been communicated as a physical meeting, and yes, hybrid because we resolved those things last year, but be that as it may, We are going to link those that have been spoken about. and
Madam
that will-
Speaker?
Let me finish.
Madam
And then
Speaker?
I must give a response. And
Yes. Can the
I must
speaker
give
respond?
guidance. We're not going to debate much further, colleagues. What we resolve on, the link is sent only to community safety members. We are physical, it was meant to be physical. Speaker is aware of the physicality of this meeting.
No, but then can we look
Thank
at
you.
the house that we don't create a link for those people? They are attending a workshop. How can they attend two things at the same time?
Yes, Madam Speaker. We got the communication, and the communication reads as follows. Kindly note that the sitting tomorrow, the 7th of March 2020, is physical sitting. Kindly inform your MEC and Premiers and MPLs in this regard. This is coming from the House Proceedings Department. So it can't be that we come here, we change. We all have commitment. I'm the custodian of branches in this province. I have my own commitments. I came here with an understanding that this is a physical meeting. And the communication came out. If it's the incompetency of your administration, we are not going to enter into that. So it's not our problem. This is what we got as an invitation. Can we stick to the rules and what has been communicated? That which Honorable Makubele is talking about, he will therefore go and rectify in the next sitting so that it doesn't happen again. For today, we are moving in this regard. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, colleagues. I heard you, I've heard you. The meeting is physical. The colleagues that are going to be linked are community safety ones. It might not be in that email because that request was made after the email. The email, I take it, was sent to everybody. When you read to honorable member, comma, honorable comma, it's written to everybody, you say? Yes. Okay. So that's the rule, colleagues. Community safety will be linked, everybody else is physical. I've not received an apology of anybody who's ill, so we'll proceed, colleagues. Thank you very much. Honorable Makubele, you said you are not ready, you are not presenting anything. We're moving to member statements.
Madam Speaker, we have received an email. I'm not sure if ever members are receiving emails. There is an email with a link from our colleague in the legislature, Ms. Jenny Sai, which sends us the link to this meeting. So there is a virtual link to this meeting. And please, let's help the sitting. I'm saying there is a virtual link. I'll email it to all of you now. Yeah.
On a point of order, Speaker. On a point of order, Speaker.
No, you are frustrating yourselves. You are frustrating yourself. I'm saying there's an email. And congratulations for attending meetings now, Secretary. Yes.
Honorable Member Makubele, the resolution of the, honorable members, the resolution, or rather the Speaker's ruling last sitting is that we are physical and we are accommodating the link to go to committee members. Can we not ping pong on this one? Honorable Makubele, the 16 is physical as per the resolution of what Speaker said. Yes, last sitting. And if there are reliable people, it's this presidium, is this table. So Speaker is aware of what we're dealing with, and the community members are aware. So let us proceed, colleagues, in the manner in which we are going to proceed. Please don't make my work difficult. Member statements, Honorable Diaga in the House. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Last week, large parts of Joburg, Ekurhuleni, Tshwane was again left without water because of Randwater's inability to protect and maintain its infrastructure. This is exactly what happened towards the end of February 2022, when residents across the province was left without water for days on end. During the course of the repair work on the Palmeetfontein burst last week, there was evidence of vandalism in one of the chambers, resulting in a burst pipe. When the DA visited the Randwater infrastructure in the Primrose area, we found that there is no security at these pipelines, and chambers are left open for anyone to access, not only exposing the infrastructure to vandalism, but also making it a massive safety hazard for people living in the area. Residents do not only have to contend with water outages as a result of infrastructure failure, but also the ongoing load shedding that impacts on the flow of water, further causing airlocks to develop in the system that restricts the flow to Jeppe, Southeast Hills, Alexander Park reservoirs. Those reservoirs feed large parts of the south, southeast, and the north of the province. In the absence of the Joburg Executive Mayor and his MMC, it is high time that the Gauteng provincial government shows some level of care to our residents and take the lead in setting up an intergovernmental task team to deal with vandalism and protect the infrastructure in our province. Thank you.
Speaker, buela tlase, voice e re hanyane. On 2nd March 2023, the committee conducted an oversight visit to the K69 road construction site in the city of Tshwane. This project has been under construction since 18 June 2019, and it was expected to have been completed on the 17th of June 2021. To date, has been revised 3 times. The overall project progress currently stands at 65% since 2019. The service provider that was awarded this tender quoted 258 million. However, the department has already spent in excess of 378 million since the project started, which is 46% over the appointment value. The department, as well as the service provider, have committed to complete the project within 6 months. By the look of the current project progress, this is highly unlikely. The project experienced a number of challenges since its inception in 2019. The main contractor also was alleged to be number 3 on the list of bidders, but was nonetheless awarded the contract by the department. This supply chain process in itself has corrupt written all over it. The project experienced work stoppages and strikes because the contractor could not pay laborers and subcontractors. The department continues to use and pay UMSO despite the company being under business rescue. The EFF Cardinal Pillar number 3 of our founding manifesto states that, and I quote, the state must build its own internal capacity, which will ultimately lead to the abolishment of tenders, because the process is corruptible in nature. The EFF therefore calls on the MEC, the MEC and Roads and Transport Department to terminate and blacklist UMSO construction. We also call for the suspension of those who were involved in the appointment to the supplier pending investigation. With the pace at which the construction of this road is going, it means the completion date will be revised again after the 6 months, and we wonder how many millions of rand will have been lost in the process. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Honorable Njokwe.
The EFF in Gauteng notes that as far back as 2014, residents of Beach Acres, Ekurhuleni Ward 13, took the street to demand the Gauteng provincial government to build a school as they were turned away from nearby schools who are overcrowded. After 4 years of frustrations, the Department of Education in Gauteng embarked on a project to build a new school using new building technology, and they promised this community that the school would take 4 months to be completed. The Department of Education then appointed Mahorumesa Construction at a cost of 36 million in 2018 to build the school. Since the appointment of a contractor, in most cases, will fail to pay community members employed in the project and will go for months without their salaries. When the EFF made inquiries through the structures, the contractor will shift the blame to the department, and the department will do the same blaming to the contractor for non-payment of workers. Speaker, we are now in 2023. The project has stopped after the contractor left the project site without informing community members. The school was supposed to be further to Jongland and well as was called Beach Lane. That they already overcrowded and rejecting learners from Beach Acres Extension. Residents took it upon themselves and embarked on a protest march to department this year, demanding answers, but their cry for help fell into deaf ears. Or shall I say, we are not surprised that their peaceful protest was met with absolute ignorance. Speaker, as we speak here today, the security at the school has also abandoned building site after lack of payment, and we fear that the school will be vandalized. The criminal activities will take place since the project is left ill. Community members who were employed at the project site were not paid by the contractor, who claims that the education department has not paid him for work already done as initially agreed. It is really sad situation because community members who were employed at the project remain unpaid, and the building of a much anticipated school is still incomplete since 2018. We are appealed as in EFF at the government promises to provide quality services, knowingly that they lack of capacity to do so. Equally, as the EFF would like to know whether Mahurumetsa is still a contractor or not. We demand accountability before this lazy ANC-led government vacates the office less than 18 months. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Member. First item, Secretary, please read out the first item. For its questions to the MEC for oral reply, Honorable Bloom, are you in the House?
Thank you, Honourable Acting Speaker. To the MEC for Health and Wellness, with regard to medical staff who are employed on contract to assist with the COVID epidemic, will the MEC please indicate, 1, how many medical personnel are currently employed on these contracts? 2, when do these contracts, or the majority of these contracts, come to an end? 3, what will be the impact on hospital services when their contracts come to an end? 4, how many of these medical personnel will be retained after 31 March this year? And 5, what steps are being taken to retain these staff in order to ensure adequate staffing at our hospitals?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The first question is the response is that there were 113 medical personnel. The second question, the response is the contracts are all ending on the 31st of March 2023. The third question, the response is that the department has contingency plan in place to deal with the impact on all hospital services. The fourth one, the response is information will be available once the CEOs have submitted the number of medical personnel, professional and support staff required in each institution for the 2023-24 financial year, considering the reduction of the current budget. The last one, the response is that the department has requested the PPC to retain the current COVID-19 compensation employees budget of 1.1 billion. An amount of 600 million has since been allocated for the 2023-24 financial year. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Bloom, do you have a follow-up, a comment, or a supplementary question?
Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker. I just want to get the figure right. Did the Honourable MEC say 113 being 113? Because my information is the number's far higher than that, and that a hospital like Sharpeneke, Johannesburg Hospital, they're doctors and nurses are telling me they're really panicking at the number of people that are going to go from one hospital alone and what the impact will be there. And I also hear at Chris Hani Baragwanath Hospital. So if you confirm 113, it's not as high as I've been led to expect, but still it's a substantial number, and hospitals have come to rely on this even though they were hired for the COVID epidemic. So if you could just clarify the figures and how many at all will be retained in 1st of April when we have a new budget? Thanks.
My answer.
to you so that I give you all the details in every hospital, because you are right. It's only 113 for one hospital that I've been having in my document. Thanks.
Honorable Chief Whip, are you ready with the motion without notice? Because I'd given an opportunity earlier. I think you were dealing with this other matter.
No, thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I, Member Elma Kubela, the ANC Chief Whip, hereby tables the following motion in terms of Rule 121 and Rule 122, and it reads as follows. The consideration of the Gauteng Provincial Laws Amendment Bill, which was programmed in today's sitting of the 7th of March 2023. We therefore hope to resolve that this House resolves that we remove the consideration of the Gauteng Provincial General Laws Amendment Bill G007/2020, and that the special sitting in terms of Rule 18.2 on the presentation by the Auditor General from the orders of the day. I so move. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Chief Whip Makobele. We're proceeding to the questions. Is there a seconder to the motion without notice, colleagues, members? Please rise.
Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker. I rise to second. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir, Honorable Member. Oh, sorry, I did not say. Yes. You rise to reject the motion?
Yes.
Okay. Who seconds the rejection of the... Who seconds the rejection of the motion? Okay, thank you. The motion is noted by the House. Thank you. Honorable Miller, are you ready? Are you in the House? It will be Honorable Fuchs? Okay. Question to MEC Rally Huku, right? Honorable Fuchs, okay.
Chair, thank you very much. So, Chair, this is question 4HL002. With regards to the march by Tembisa residents to Tembisa Hospital because of concerns about conditions at the hospital, would the MEC please indicate the following? From the 1st of February 2022 to date, how many people have slept on the floors in casualty? Please provide the breakdown per month. From the 1st of February 2022 to date, how many people have slept on the floor in each of the other wards? Please provide the breakdown per month for the other wards. How long has the department known about overcrowding challenges of Tembisa Hospital? Question number 4. When the MEC visited the hospital, the mental health patients were removed from the wards where they had been videotaped sleeping in inhuman conditions. Where were they moved to? And what measures are being implemented to deal with the overcrowding at Tembisa Hospital, and by when?
Not have patients that have slept on the floor in casualty. The second one is that the Tembisa Hospital does not have patients who have slept on the floor in the wards as well. The third one is that the overcrowding challenge has been a long-standing issue with the increasing demand of health services on Tembisa Hospital, serving 3 metropolitans, which is City of Johannesburg, Ekurhuleni and Tshwane. We have a catchment population, including the mushrooming of informal settlements around Ivory Park, Deep Slot, and interprovincial relocation, immigration, and not having any referring hospital in the referral pathway. The numbers in the accident and emergency area were noted to be rising following the last COVID-19 wave, and relaxation of lockdown restrictions have been fluctuating since the April 2022. The institution started building an APT admission ward to alleviate overcrowding in the admission and emergency area. The fourth one is that a new APT admission ward was opened with a capacity last week with a capacity of 36 beds to relieve the pressure. However, the old area is still being used as an overflow area for mental health care users and patients presenting with acute psychosis. And I think I'm referring even to that video that circulated on the 16th of December. We have sorted them. We have about 11 beds now that we have done for that overflow, but we know that because all the wards are full, but we are making some measures as a department. We are going to announce in the budget speech because we are going to use Bethakoa, part of the space in the old Bethakoa, we're going to use it as for mental health care patients. Then the last one is that a new APT admission ward was opened with a capacity of at least 36 beds to relieve the pressure that we're having, which has been there. And there are other plans for the next financial year to extend the number of beds in the institution, including building a 300-bedded mother and child unit. Long-term plans including building another hospital, which is our Kempton Park Hospital, to alleviate the pressure on Tembisa. As part of P, the department, again, we're in discussion with private institutions regarding additional theater space and then the space at Zamokuhle, which is opposite with Tembisa. So we are signing an agreement with them. They are going to give us one floor up and the theaters, because they have
Unknown
about,
participant is now joining.
they have about 4 theaters that they are not utilizing. They are utilizing one. So there is an agreement that we'll be utilizing those 3 theaters. But we are in that process of buying Zamokuhle, and the management at Zamokuhle do agree to give us, because it's just a straight away, so we can just cross and immediately we'll be fine. And regarding the additional theater space, as I've indicated, we are going to reduce the surgical backlog, which also contributes to the overcrowding in our wards. But already there are plans in place for that. I will announce them properly in the budget. Thank you.
Honorable Fuchs.
Yes, Chair, thank you very much. So we hear about these long-term plans, and we've been hearing a lot about long-term plans from that side of the House. The truth, Madam MEC, is that people no longer believe you, unfortunately. Based on history, numerous promises made, nothing delivered. And we're all aware of the fact that the quality of healthcare, and we've agreed on that, is not at all where it should be. Overcrowding is a big contributor towards that. And frankly, I'm not satisfied that your department has really applied its mind to determine what measures are available to try and deal with this matter, Chair. This is something I really think needs to be discussed in the Portfolio Committee. Thank you.
Angithi mina yami mic ayisebenzi. Yami mic ayisebenzi, angazi bakwenza njani. No. And since last week, but so I'm saying, can we go and see, you see this bedded, 36 bedded that I'm talking about, because we have not seen it, and then after that, you can take me up then on the other plans that you are not convinced about. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker, Deputy Speaker. I'm rising in terms of Rule 134, subsection 7. MEC, I just wanted to say, I hear you saying you're building a new hospital in Kempton Park. I'm worried that the current Kempton Park Hospital, which was abandoned, is then going to just become continue to be a white elephant. I was hoping you would have said you're going to renovate it and reopen it. But I'm also relieved to hear that you said the mental health patients would probably go to Bethakoa, because I heard that they were put in a tent when you and I were visiting the hospital, because I wondered what had happened to them. I would also like to appeal to you that, yes, the residents went on to Tembisa Hospital. Now Tembisa Hospital is refusing us to do oversight at the hospital. Please, can you have that corrected? Because if we do oversight and have to ask for permission, the hospital will look right when we visit. But if we are doing unplanned oversight, then we can see it for what it really is as it's experienced by our
Honorable
residents.
Nseke,
Thank you.
Question must be short. Thank you. You noted that? You got that?
Member Nseke, write that question to the MEC for DIT because he's the one that is responsible for building hospitals in the province, including the plans that you're talking about of renovating. I'm working with him. So now you are bringing it here, and for me, it's a bit unfair. And even the issue of you in terms of visiting hospitals, we cannot allow people, Deputy Speaker, that go to hospital and take photos of the patients and circulate them in social media under the pretense that they are doing oversight. So that's the reason why nobody must just get in. There are visiting hours. We're not stopping people to go to hospital during visiting hours. But we take an offense of people that go to casualty area and take photos of people that are sick, and you think that you want us to pretend as if that's the oversight that you're doing. There's no such an oversight that you must take patients' photos when they are still in that condition, getting there full of blood with all sorts of things, and then you circulate them on social media. So please, members knows what to do. They know what to do when they want to visit hospitals. All of them, it's an issue that it must be addressed. No single person just bounce in the hospital and we think that we'll be happy about it. We're not stopping you, but we're saying do things correctly. Thank you.
Thank you. Oral reply to the executive, Honorable Honorable Fuchs.
Because they don't take their
I know,
current.
Fuchs is taking formula.
Chair, thank you very much. Chair, I'll be asking a question on behalf of Honourable Miller, and the following one, which is for INF 001, will then fall away, Chair, because it's actually the same question, but to a different department. So to the MEC for Health, with regards to the functionality of generators at Tembisa Hospital, would the MEC please indicate the following? From the 1st of January to the end of January 2023, how many times did the hospital run out of diesel for the generators? Please state the dates and times that the generators ran out of diesel. For how long were the generators off each time? Number 4, were there any deaths as a result of the generators not having any diesel? And 5, how many patients have died as a result during this period? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable MC.
Thank you. The first answer, from 1st of January 2022 to the end of January 2023, how many times, as he's asking, did the hospital run out of diesel? The response is that the hospital has never run out of diesel. However, there was one incident of the delay in delivery due to supplier-related factors. The second one is that the response is that it was on the 27th of October, 2022 at 17:45. The third answer, it lasted only for 45 minutes. Then the fourth answer, the response is there were no deaths as a result of generators not having diesel. The last answer, the Tembisa Hospital is not experiencing any direct death during this period due to load shedding. Thank you.
Fine. Thank you, Honorable MC and Honorable Fuchs. Next question. Honorable Fuchs.
Chair, this question falls away.
It falls away. Okay, thank you. Do we go on to proceed to the one on infrastructure? Honorable Fuchs, are you ready? Infrastructure? We're done with wellness. It was 2 questions from Honorable Miller. And
Chair, both the questions are the same. So I asked the first one of health, therefore the second one, which relates to
Fell off.
infrastructure, falls away.
Okay,
Thank you.
that's fine. Moving to the next order. Infrastructure sorted. Second item. Second item, honorable members, in terms of Rule 1375, If a question for written reply is not replied within the stipulated time frame and no extension is requested by a member of the Executive Council during question day, the relevant MEC must provide an oral question. MECs are kindly requested not to reply to the question but to provide an oral explanation for his or her failure to reply to the question and forward the reply to the question to the table. MEC Health and Wellness, questions 5 HL 007, HL 008, HL 008 to MEC Health and Wellness. Please give an oral explanation why the question has not been responded to. Thank you. MEC Lindewe, Mveli.
Madam Speaker, I've forwarded the questions, I've answered the questions, but I think because they delayed because of time, so, but we've submitted all those questions for oral, for written replies now. Thank you.
Okay, are you able to hand them to the table?
Yeah, I'll forward them on here, I've got them. Can I come and take them to Madam? I'll forward them to the table, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Again, Honorable MECs, you must request for an extension if you are not able to reply on time, so that we do not have this kind of questions or items on our program. Thank you. Order 1, motion on gender-based violence.
Thank you, Honorable Acting Speaker. Motion in terms of Rule 121, read with Rule 122, gender-based violence. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. On behalf of Member Krizan Bosch, I table the following motion in terms of Rule 121, read with Rule 122 on gender-based violence. Noting that there's an increase in the scourge of gender-based violence, GBV, across the province, and there's not enough support for the victims and survivors, the victim empowerment centers in all our police stations are in a dire state and not equipped with much needed resources to assist the victims of GBV. There are no adequate social workers to assist, and police are not professionally trained to deal with the issues of GBV or members of the LGBTIQ+ community. There are also a huge challenge concerning the DNA backlog in the province, which is denying justice to GBV victims. We believe that GBV is a societal issue that needs all stakeholders to work together to find a solution. We believe that victims of GBV must have access to all the necessary support they need. We believe that those who work with victims of GBV should be conscientious about the sensitivities of the issues that they are dealing with. Therefore, resolves that we should have more trained police and social workers available at stations who will deal specifically with victims of GBV and deal with the issues affecting the members of the LGBTQI community. The Department of Safety and Security should do more in liaising with their national counterparts to provide adequate resource to all victim empowerment centers across all our police stations. Madam Deputy Speaker, indeed it is an honor to speak on this debate on gender-based violence, GBV. There are many glaring gaps in our society concerning this pandemic, and it's probably the biggest shame of our country. How did we even get here as a country? On Saturday night, I was humbled by a non-profit organization, NGO, Tsogofatso, based in Kempton Park, operated by a named lady called Cynthia. Cynthia does not have a job, but managed to open her home to about 70 survivors of GBV. The police and social workers take rescued victims to her house. In one conversation that we had, she told me that she is funded by Good Samaritans who randomly donate to her shelter. Sometimes, when Ikaya Letemba is full and cannot accommodate victims, they refer victims to Cynthia. On Sunday, she hosted an awards evening for all the NGOs, police, and social workers involved in the GBV space, acknowledging the hard work that they do. She asked me to assist by handing out the awards. Though I believe this was what government should be doing, I was very humbled. I know we criticize the police and social workers when they don't perform, but honestly, there are some men and women who do amazing work out there. Men and women who leave their families and risk it all. When they leave their families to go to work, they don't even know if they'll return alive. These men and women risk their lives by taking victims out of harmful situations when perpetrators can easily kill them. I salute them. The situations they're exposed to require ongoing trauma counseling. The Gauteng Department of Social Development should never spend more than 3 months with any vacancy, as the services they are rendering to our people are essential. In a situation where a staff member is about to retire, plans should be put in place timelessly to prevent the department from sitting with a vacancy of over 400, which is the current situation now. Caseloads severely compromise the already short-staffed social workers, affecting the quality of support given to GBV victims. As a result, the number of cases opened is far lower than the actual incidence of GBV in Gauteng or South Africa as a whole. Why would anyone open a case when the perpetrator can still get bail? And when they do get bail, where would the victim go except to be stuck in the same home with the alleged perpetrator? What do you think happens then? Usually, the victim ends up closing the case. If they're courageous enough and continue with the case, they also must see if the case will even make it onto the court roll. If it does, they must attend multiple court hearings and at the end of it, see if the perpetrator is even convicted. Why would anyone report a case when we have seen the statistics that the conviction rates are very low? This discourages the victims from opening cases. By opening cases, the victims put themselves at risk and re-traumatization. This whole process is incredibly traumatic to the victims, or shall I say, the survivors. These challenges identified in each step require serious intervention. While the majority of victims of GBV are women and children, many people in the LGBTIQA+ community, an already socially stigmatized group, endure profound suffering when affected by this plague. They are even more deeply affected when they are victims of GBV. Following them are men who are abused within a society that says, "Monna ha lle ke nku." Loosely translated, a man is not allowed to cry. So men affected suffer silently and hardly ever tell a soul about what they are going through. I would like to lobby all members of this House to support this motion because in one way or another, we are all affected by GBV and it should become a priority crime in our province. Police training should be improved to include sensitivity and tolerance. Gauteng should push hard to ensure that every single police station has a victim-friendly room that is adequately equipped with necessary resources, such as a play area for children of victims, not clinically hard rooms that emotionally torture a traumatized soul. In closing, it is only by bringing services closer to our people and the province lobbying for devolution of police that we will have a better chance of fighting this horrible crime. I still have 4 minutes, Madam Speaker. I would like to also ask that if you have devolution, it's important that the province can also fight to ensure that the DNA backlog is reduced, which will then ensure that there's a better conviction rate. This is some of the things that will make life easier for women and victims of GBV, whether it's children, the LGBTIQ+ community, to come forward, because once we can have better conviction rates, people will see that there is justice when they've actually been affected by the scourge of GBV. And I encourage that people look at this motion as fighting to bring services of the police, social development closer to the people so that we can fight harder to fight the scourge of GBV and ultimately turn a page and make everybody who was once a sufferer to feel slightly safer in Gauteng. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Honorable Bishop.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Good morning, honorable members, citizens of Gauteng. I want to honor and thank Honorable Bosch for sponsoring the motion on gender-based violence. And the ACDP wanted to also be part of this debate. Gender-based violence is an ancient sin for thousands of years and has harmed countless women, children, and men. It is a sin that Christians need to recognize, understand, and confront, for our religious history also bears its stain. I want to bring out a story in 2 Samuel chapter 13. But Tamar put ashes on her head and tore the long robe that she was wearing. She put her hand on her head and went away crying aloud as she went. Her brother Absalom said to her, "Has Ammon, your brother, been with you? Be quiet for now." Please take note. "Be quiet for now, my sister. He is your brother. Do not take this to heart." So Tamar remained a desolate woman in her brother's house. When King David, the king, the government heard all these things, he became very angry. But he would not punish his son Ammon because he loved him, for he was his firstborn. Madam Speaker, this is the challenge that we have when it comes to gender-based violence, is that the cover-ups, the web of deceit to protect in our own homes, in our communities, in our societies, even in the church, how it is covered. It is time. And I want to admonish every sector of society, if we want to effectively deal with gender-based violence, we'll have to begin to speak up. I was watching as Honorable Nseka was sponsoring the motion here, and I watched the women in the house, many of them on their laptops, many of them on their phones, not even listening to this motion. And it's important that women, no, listen, don't do that. I'm saying what I observed. You didn't observe it. I observed it.
Order.
I'm saying to you, it is incredibly important that if we want to decisively deal with gender-based violence, we must take responsibility, even if you are not the perpetrator. Even if you haven't even done this, and let us take accountability for our brothers. Take accountability for those who is doing this to our women and our children. Our people are suffering. So I'm saying as a church, and I speak for the Church of Jesus Christ, we deplore the suffering and we confess our collective and individual complicities in both church and society. The ACDP calls for harsher, more stringent sentencing for evil perpetrators of these heinous crimes on our women and our children. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Yeah.
Thank you. Honorable Bishop, thank you. You even took 3 minutes because we are speaking for the church, no? Honorable Paladi, Dechmela.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, honorable members of the House, our society continues to be under siege from heinous acts of violence against women, children, and people living with disabilities. The African National Congress-led government has intensified a fight against gender-based violence and femicide. On that basis, the President of the Republic of South Africa, President Cyril Ramaphosa, has correctly described it as the country's second pandemic. Notably, to reverse this second pandemic, we need an overarching strategy to address its causal factors. Accordingly, a caring African National Congress-led government has introduced new laws to protect women and children in South Africa from abuse and violence. Madam Deputy Speaker, the newly introduced laws are as follows. Criminal law, this one deals with sexual offenses and related matters. Amendment Bill Act, among others, expands the definition of incest and further regulates the National Register for Sex Offenders. Criminal law, this one deals with forensic procedures. Amendment Bill, it introduces mandatory DNA collection for certain crimes. It is important to note that in order to reduce the DNA backlog, South African Police Services completed a building and a laboratory in Xabega in the Eastern Cape, and that laboratory is also capacitated. Thus, a pressure from the Western Cape laboratory will be relieved. Accordingly, by the 6th of February 2023, the DNA backlog, which was initially over 241,000, was at 1,600, translating to 99.3% backlog reduction nationally. The other law is Domestic Violence Amendment Bill to expand the definition of domestic violence to include actions such as controlling or bullying behavior and further to regulate protection orders in response to domestic violence. There is also a Criminal and Related Matters Amendment Bill to provide the additional procedures to reduce secondary victimization for vulnerable people in court proceedings. Madam Deputy Speaker, Remoro, the 2023 African National Congress Gauteng Provincial Legislature noted that load shedding creates opportunity for the increase of crime, including gender-based violence and femicide. Guided by the spirit of Remoro and deepening of active citizenry, the Lekgotla resolved on strengthening safety partnership between civil society and community structures, religious and other organized groupings, business and law enforcement agencies to, number one, empower community policing forums to continue playing key role in mobilizing communities to combat crime in their areas. Secondly, each police station must have a victim support center. Thirdly, increase number of green doors in semi-urban areas. Number 4, roll out solar floods lights. Number 5, police stations to have electricity alternatives. That is the solar or reliable supply for diesel for generators. And last, the Lekgotla further resolved on the implementation of e-policing solution. Madam Deputy Speaker, as a direct response to the African National Congress Lekgotla, in his SOPA address, Tonakgolo ya Gauteng, Honorable Lesufi allocated a specific fund to respond to gender-based violence, including strengthening Green Doors project and working with Ikaya Lethemba. Premier Lesufi announced more wider strategy by allocating resources to fight GBV for further announcing that. The additional allocation of 400 new police cars from the 1st of May 2023, every ward in our communities will have a 24-hour patrol car equipped with proper gadgets. 6,000 young men and women have been recruited to monitor and police Gauteng 24/7. They will be on the street by the 1st of May 2023. Additional mobile police stations to be available across the province. Madam Deputy Speaker Remoro, we remain hopeful that the summary of interventions mentioned above will go a long way to contribute in reversing the scourge of heinous acts of violence against women, children, people living with disabilities, and members of LGBTQI community in our province. I therefore thank this opportunity, Madam Speaker, to address the House today regarding this matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Member. Member Engelbrecht.
Madam Deputy Speaker, I'd like to share a story of Naledi, a delightful young girl of 12, bubbly and full of life, Her mother worked late, so her uncle looked after her. And one fateful day, after everybody had left at the store, he dropped a box and he asked Naledi to pick all the contents up. Before Naledi realized what was happening to her, he was on top of her, pushing her and hurting her with a force that her young body could not withstand. When all was done, her uncle gave her 50 rand and told her never to tell her mother, otherwise he would never help her again. With a torn and broken body, Naledi went home, too terrified to tell her mother. At school, her favorite teacher realized something was wrong when Naledi couldn't sit. During break time and in tears, Naledi eventually told her teacher what had happened, and she immediately took her to the police station. The police station was busy and they had to wait their turn. Naledi was terrified and wanted to run home and hide under the bed. The teacher tried to explain what happened, but the officer insisted that Naledi does the speaking herself. But Naledi didn't want to tell the officer because everybody in the station knew her uncle, and she was terrified that they would laugh at her. The policeman insisted she speak loudly, and by now everybody in the station was looking at her, and she started crying all over again. Her teacher insisted on a private place to talk. They went to her office and waited and waited. After what seemed forever, a police officer arrived and told them to come back the next day because there was nobody to assist her, there was no social worker, and there were no rape kits. Naledi's heavy pain in her heart grew and grew. Naledi's story is not an isolated incident, but a daily occurrence of what victims of crimes experience at many stations. Of the 143 police stations in Gauteng, 22 have no victim empowerment facilities, and many do not have rape kits. Sophia Town's VPE is in a container with broken lights and water in the few light bulbs that still exist. Acacia's VEP is in a shack. The high incidence of violent crime in this country has created a society of victims. Naledi had her beloved teacher, but other victims face the shame alone and in isolation. The National Crime Prevention Strategy intends to be a victim-centered restorative justice system, focusing on the needs of the victim to establish multidisciplinary victim empowerment services. Yet research by Nell and Kruger shows that 50% of victims would have appreciated specialized services, but only 4% received this. The current support services for victims of crime and violence are limited, fragmented, uncoordinated, and therefore ineffective. We have failed the needs of many crime victims when it comes to empowering and assisting them. We must empower our communities with information, and education about GBV should start at the home. And then we must inform, enlighten, and engage all stakeholders through school and youth programs. We need fully equipped police stations, experienced and trained officers in dealing with victims. We need victim empowerment rooms in every station, fully equipped, victim-friendly, with soft, comfortable chairs, warm, fluffy blankets, soft toys to give comfort, and gentle music to calm the soul. We need sufficiently trained MPOs near police stations to provide the service. Madam Speaker, we must ensure this is done for Naledi and all the other voiceless victims of crime. I thank you.
Thank you, Member. Honorable Maslela.
Ngiyabonga, Madam Speaker. Open quote, toxic masculinity, violence against women and children, racism are all pernicious diseases prevalent in our world. Along with pandemics, we need to get rid of this vicious negativity as well. We have to make this world change for the better. Close quote. The EFF in Gauteng could not agree more with this motion, not because we sit in opposition benches. Truth of the matter here, Speaker, is that the issue of properly training police officers, social workers, at police station to deal adequately with GBV has become an immediate necessity and demand from our people on the ground. Both community safety and social development has once again proved their utter incompetence and push blame mentality with our people. Speaker, the current president, the cabinet pala changer, called GBV as a #1 pandemic after the COVID-19 plagued us. We therefore demand in your capable lobby and advocacy, you go and demand your national counterparts to make resources available to assist victims of GBV and femicide with immediate effect. Issue of GBV in 2023, Speaker, need to be decentralized so that local police stations can play an active role instead of centralizing everything at national level, while lazy and judgmental police officers who are not properly trained on matters of emotional intelligence and psychology for victims continue to treat our people with utmost disrespect and impunity. Women in South Africa, Gauteng in particular, particularly black women, have suffered a great deal during apartheid. The distinction to separate the struggle of black women from that of other women is intentional. If really the government of today takes our people seriously, the issue of GBV should have a specialist desk in every police station, every social service department, not this long red tape and unnecessary process we have observed in our various home visit and constituency work. Stop embarrassing our victims this way and give them qualified professionals, including qualified in psychological field. Speaker, truth be told, for women residing in rural, semi-urban and township areas of South Africa, poverty remains a persistent contributing factor to gender inequality. With transport in rural and township areas be a challenge, women often depend on leave from strangers to get around. This puts them at huge risks of violence, human trafficking, rape, and other forms of sexual assault. When will this end, or shall we wait for the new minister to be the messiah of our people, while we being rendered useless by the government because those who voted us in power cry for the same thing day in and out, Speaker? As the EFF continues to stride towards ensuring emancipation of women, we know and understand that it is only women themselves who will have to confront the harsh reality that there is a normalized patriarchal war against black women, rooted in hatred for women in general. As you are well aware, or at least are now, the EFF against the oppression of anyone based in gender and gender expression or sexual orientation, meaning that we are against patriarchy, sexism, and homophobia in all of its manifestation. We tirelessly strive to release women's liberation through variety of intention, from education against patriarchy and sexism, to legislation and the close monitoring of implementation to the same to realize women empowerment in society, the family and at the workplace. Speaker, let it be known that we as the EFF support the LGBTQI community, and they too, Speaker, suffer the same fate. It is rather interesting that your seniors are seen when it's time to cut ribbons to police stations, yet pertinent issues remain unresolved, Speaker. As the EFF, we are convinced that the ANC-led government has no intention to improve the safety and security of women in this country, certainly not in this province. As the EFF, a militant, a radical politant mass movement, we embark on Women March on the 22nd April 2019 to the Constitutional Court and on the 22nd of August 2019 to IBT, NPN, Public Protector, and SAPS and the Gender Commission. These marches attracted thousands of women from all over Gauteng Township to table demands of swifter, efficient, more sensitive justice system that is focused, deterrence of GBV, crime against women, children, the LGBTQI community, people living with disability. It must be emphasized that large part of GB crimes are stubbornly persistent because there are very little deterrence in our justice system. To the tune of around victors in our courts. The NPA, the SAPS Commission on Gender Equality, including the IPID, could improve 1,000,000% of Gauteng in cleansed of the repulsive and regressive case. As the EFF will not relent in calling for stringent measures to mitigate against this social ill. Following the revelation made by Community Safety MEC Faith Mazibuku in her written reply to our question in the legislature, that total number of 5,080 gender-based violence GBV cases were reported to Gauteng Police Station in March and April alone this year. Police have since managed to secure 3,373 arrests, but only 204 of them were convicted during the same period, while official Gauteng government figures ended in April. Incidents of GBV continue to be reported at various police stations in the country. We are convinced by the statistics that the most vulnerable people suspected to crime is black women and children, as well as vulnerable groups in our society, such as LGBTQI, community and people living with disabilities. The LGBTQI community also affected by the binary gendered nature of the justice system. As this field, they are not free to report sexual offenses because of their sexual orientation. Women feel more safe than men walking in their neighborhoods alone, both day and night. Till when, Speaker, ngiyabuza ukuthi nathi sifuna ukwazi ukuthi ANC izwenzani. The EFF government will introduce a special inspectorate in the Department of Labor to monitor, report on and enforce gender parity and equality in the workplace. Such measures will range from name and shame and heavy penalties to withdrawal of trading license in the case of repeat offenders, in addition to an introduction whistleblowing mechanism for reporting all instances of sexual harassment, job for sex, and gender-based violence in workplace. The EFF proposed creation of division with IPID that will focus on complaints against police who victimize and do not allow victims to open cases of GBV. Police social workers have to be trained on gender justice, and there be establishment of specialized law enforcement units to deal with GBV-related crimes. EFF advocates for harsher minimum sentence for all GBV-related crimes and the cases to be made schedule of 5 offenses with likelihood of not receiving a bail. Through the EFF manifesto, we have committed to introduce special introspective labor in the Department of Labor to monitor and report, I emphasize, enforce gender parity and equality in workplace. This will arrange from naming and shaming, Speaker. We mean it, Speaker. Malibongo igama le EFF, tula ungakhali mama, EFF ikona. I thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Member. Member Ndlovana.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker, Honorable Premier, the Chief Whip of the Majority Party, honorable members and the people of Gauteng. Madam Deputy Speaker, before I debunk the misconceptions created by the DA on the eve of the International Women's Day, which will be celebrated tomorrow, the 8th of March 2023, I think it will be in order to recognize the work done by the ANC-led government in empowering women by placing them in a position of responsibility since 1994 across all the spheres of government. The theme of the International Women's Day 2023 campaign, which says #EmbraceEquity, is to get the world talking about why equal opportunities aren't enough. People start from different places, so true inclusion and belonging require equitable action. Someone, Deputy Speaker, recently said these powerful words, and I quote, "A strong woman knows she has strength enough for the journey, but a woman of strength knows it is in the journey where she will become strong," close quote. This brings me to the DA recommendation on the policing gender-based violence and dealing with the issue affecting the LGBTQI+ community the DA says. We should have more trained police and social workers available at station who will deal specifically with victims of gender-based violence and deal with the issue of affecting members of the LGBTQ+ community. Madam Deputy Speaker, it is clear that the DA is not well informed about what is happening on the ground in community safety, and I'm willing to share this information with them free of charge by way of background. Gauteng has 23 special family violence, child protection services unit, consisting of 549 staff members that include detectives and support staff and 18 trained forensic social workers. Gauteng subs have a gender-based violence desk at every police station. 144 gender-based violence femicide desk coordinated and appointed by station commanders to oversee all domestic violence, compliance matters, complaints, court orders, interim and protection orders, referral to court or centers, and data integrity. The majority of the frontline services personnel police stations are trained in domestic violence and gender-based violence services, committed against vulnerable groups that includes LGBTQI+ persons. All stations are compelled to have suitable gender-based violence trained official on duty on the 27 4-hour basis. 110 victim-friendly rooms are supported daily by the Department of Gauteng Social Development funded NGO with gender-based violence trained social workers and auxiliary services workers, and a minimum of 2 volunteers per NGO. Honorable Engelbrecht. Currently, 122 victim empowerment floor managers are appointed at priority station to assist with identify gender-based violence victims on CSC level and ensure direct referral to victim-friendly rooms. Gauteng Department of Community Safety have trained subs officially from 144 stations on gender-based violence, amended legislation in partnership with the Department of Justice in 2022-2023 financial year. Madam Deputy Speaker, all our victim-friendly rooms are linked through referrals matrix to the following specialized services. 16 GBV specialized based at Ikaya Letemba, responsible for VEC oversight and family justice support services. 60 GBV social workers appointed through the Department of Social Development. More than 65 Gauteng Department of Social Development funded NGO offering GBV services. 23 gender-based violence and femicide shelters equipped with social workers. 86 green doors equipped with trained gender-based violence ambassadors. Madam Speaker, Member Engelbrecht said that our victim empowerment centers does not have rape kits. From the knowledge I have, she was misleading the House. Madam Speaker, I'm presenting this information for contest as the DA seems to be suggesting that no work is happening on the ground with a specific reference to gender-based violence and LGBTQI services. Now the question may be, what has happened recently in this regard? Or what have we done to supplement the work and program that currently exist? Madam Speaker, please allow me to report that 36 kiosks were procured at the request of SAPS province in the previous administration to improve service delivery. SAPS province took responsibility for deploying these kiosks as per their deployment needs, keeping in mind that this is about police visibility in communities where there is prevalence of crime, of the crime missile. The Department of Community Services has mobilized around 600 gender-based violence brigades who are females, LGBTQI+, youth, and people with disability based across the province, mainly in townships. These GBV brigades are conducting house visits, educating the community about GBV and femicide. They help identify GBVF victims and thus refer them to SAPS and social worker for psychosocial support. Educating the society on the gender-based violence has helped in increasing awareness, but importantly, advocacy as also join and speak in one voice. Enough is enough. Through education, we saw more cases reportedly by the community, and gradually the numbers reduced to the level where today we can safely say Gauteng province no longer have any police station in the top 10 based on sexual offenses, as the stats presented by the national minister. This means the work of the gender-based violence brigades as a force multiplier and other interventions with other law enforcement agencies is bearing the fruits. Let us remember that the unit is also responsible for 3 intervention areas, which are to urgently respond to victims and survivors of gender-based violence, broadening the access to justice for survivors, raising of awareness and prevention campaign to change social norms and behavior. Madam Speaker, the Department of Community Safety, through Social Crime Prevention under the Unit of Victim Empowerment Center, is currently responsible for the provision of direct services to the vulnerable women and children through the provision of victim empowerment services to victims of domestic and sexual violence, the coordination of the integrated victim empowerment services. The Victim Empowerment Center's unit is responsible for advocacy and support to the Provincial Victim Empowerment Program at the police station level, quarterly monitoring and support of victim empowerment services prioritized to ensure quality of services is provided. Madam Speaker, on the needs for more trained police and social workers available at station, Madam Speaker, currently 144 police stations have the responsibility of ensuring that each precinct has a dedicated room of space that is allocated for services that provide support and empowerment to victims of gender-based violence and victims of all crimes. Police station. The department piloted a floor management model, the aim being to minimize secondary victims and prioritizing victim access to police station. Announced and unannounced visits are conducted.
Thank you, Honorable
focusing
Member.
on the process of victim accessibility to the services
Thank you, Honorable
available. Madam Speaker, a lot indeed had been done
Thank
in
you.
ensuring the safety of the gender-based victim and safeguarding the rights of the LGBTQI+.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Honorable Tilange.
Deputy Speaker, thank you very much. When we talk about gender-based violence, we are not just referring to physical violence. Emotional and verbal violence are surpassing the increasing GBV, and this is just as devastating, as there are no visible scars to hide. Emotional and verbal violence has become a serious social threat, accepted as a normal behavior. Women in workplaces are often more subjected to these dysfunctional behavior from men with anger management issues. Our laws in South Africa does not meet the required actions against these perpetrators, and the victims often suffer in silence. We call on communities, leaders, stakeholders to prove their commitment to take action against this silent brutality. And this is not just a policing matter, Madam Deputy Speaker. It has much to do with upbringing as well. And as parents, we also need to take action and responsibility. Basadi, Asedi Sebediswa, Tsobela, Leolokofatswa. Vrouens is nie daar om misbruik te word nie. Nie fisies nie en ook nie emosioneel nie. Madam Deputy Speaker, and let us not try and own this. We are all in it together. Thank you.
Honorable Diaga.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. South Africa is notoriously known the world over for horrendous gender-based crimes against women. This is despite progressive legislation in place to ensure the protection of women. In 2021, Stats SA released a report on crimes against women in South Africa, indicating that 1 in 5 women had experienced physical violence by a partner. In 2016, it was reported that a woman was killed every 4 hours in South Africa, at least half of them by a former partner. In 2020, in the height of the global health crisis, President Ramaphosa labeled gender-based violence the country's second pandemic. We watched in horror, day after day, news bulletin after news bulletin, that reports yet another woman, another queer person, who is assaulted, raped, or killed by someone they once loved. Our pain, anger, defeat, and hopelessness at yet another brutal and arbitrary loss of life so often spears us into action. We hold night vigils in memory of lives lost. We take to the streets in numbers to bring attention to the colossal task that stand before us while we urge our government to act. All this while South African women ask themselves if they are next. Another victim of a senseless murder, another statistic, yet another hashtag. In early February, a 21-year-old Tshwane University student was found dead with stab wounds to her neck. Days before Christmas, Miriam Makane was stabbed to death by a boyfriend in front of her 3-year-old child. Miriam had a restraining order against the perpetrator. We read in horror about a mutilated body of a lesbian woman who had been missing for a week in Vereeniging and was found after a desperate search by her family and community. Her name was Ntukoza Motulong. Time and time again, we are told that the government is taking action, yet there is no change. We are told about policies and strategies and frameworks and interventions to address this culture of violence meted out on our most vulnerable in society. Yet, despite these efforts, every day we see and read about violence against women and children and the LGBTIQA community that continues unabated. We are constantly assured that help is at hand for any person who needs it. However, there is no assurance for the victim of this horrible crime, which is often compounded by secondary victimization by police and families and in their communities. How many times do we hear of women and queer people who report attacks to police who lack compassion and do not offer any support whatsoever to the victim? How many times have we heard about bruised and battered individuals sitting on cold benches and queues at police stations because there were no trauma rooms? Or often, women, even after reporting a crime, are taunted and further threatened by their perpetrators, often live in the same communities as them and roam free because of a broken and corrupt police system where dockets easily go missing. At this point, we need to consider the fact that there are women who have been killed with protection orders in their hand. The DA proposed the following intervention to be implemented with urgency. Training programs that can provide police officers with the necessary knowledge, skills to recognize, investigate, and respond to cases of domestic violence. Training on how to conduct interviews with victims and perpetrators, how to gather evidence, and how to provide appropriate support to victims. Implement policies and procedures that prioritize the needs and rights of survivors, that will ensure that victims are provided with medical care, counseling services, and their rights to privacy and confidentiality are respected. The establishment of shelters and safe houses for victims of domestic violence and all other forms of GBV. Addressing the problem of GBV in Gauteng requires a comprehensive and multifaceted approach. While a functioning criminal justice system plays a pivotal role in the fight against GBV, society, customs, culture, and mores have critical roles to play as well. Patriarchy, misogyny, and prejudice that result in hate crimes have to be dealt with from the root. Working together as communities, civil organizations, and political parties and the government, we can create a safer society for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Member. Honorable Makakula.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Greetings to you, Honorable Premier in absentia, Honorable Chief Whip of the Majority Party, and Chief Whips of other parties present in this House, Honorable members of the Executive Committee, Honorable members of this august House, and the people of Gauteng at large. Deputy Speaker, allow me to highlight that the issue at hand, gender-based violence, affects society negatively, particularly the most vulnerable, women and children. Therefore, as we debate in this august House, we must avoid trivializing an issue so important and using the plight of women to gain political mileage. Gender-based violence knows no boundaries. It knows no political affiliation and knows no societal status. It remains one of the challenges that require all of us to unite and speak with one voice, irrespective of our political or ideological differences. It would be unacceptable for us to deny that gender-based violence and femicide is a threat to our society. The motion before us, while raising important issues on gender-based violence, the sponsors of the motion present their facts in a manner that seeks to suggest that the ANC-led government is doing nothing to curb gender-based violence. This is misleading to the society and the people of Gauteng in particular. Deputy Speaker, to demonstrate this with facts that, contrary to the view of the DA that nothing is being done, in 2020, the President of the country, Honorable Cyril Ramaphosa, declared gender-based violence in South Africa's second pandemic to COVID-19 and urged society to take it as serious as the coronavirus. This was to elevate GBV and ensure that it is prioritized by the ANC-led government as an issue that needed special attention and that needed to be addressed with immediate effect. In 2019, following the Presidential Summit on GBV, an interim steering committee on gender-based violence was established. The committee produced the Gender-Based Violence and Femicide National Strategic Plan to address the very same issue we're debating here today. Members of this august House, these processes culminated into the President signing into law legislation that strengthened the fight against gender-based violence in January 2022. Just recently, the President indicated that economic empowerment of women is an important pillar of our struggle to end GBV and femicide. It will come back to how the Gauteng province ANC-led government is empowering women economically. The ANC-led government is the government of the people by the people, in line with the Freedom Charter clause that said the people shall govern. We listened to the crisis of the civil society when they made demands in Parliament that government must act against the scourge of gender-based violence. These efforts indicated above are coordinated and are taking place in consultation with relevant stakeholders. At a provincial level, Madam Deputy Speaker, we have systems that are in place to fight gender-based violence. In 2020 GBL, through the Multi-Party Women's Caucus, having seen the increase of gender-based violence in the province and its impact, hosted a round table with different stakeholders from all walks of life, including the Minister of Justice and Correctional Services, to devise ways of curbing GBV and assist victims in the province. In the same year, the ANC sponsored in this very same August House a motion on gender-based violence, focusing on how to influence the change of mindset in society, addressing the lack of agency by securing cluster to deal with cases of gender violence and methods of improving legislation to ensure that the gender system is effective in dealing with cases of gender-based violence. As indicated earlier, there has been much progress done. Once again, Madam Deputy Speaker, I must indicate that the notion that the ANC-led government is folding arms from our counterparts is unfortunate. Decisive steps have been taken to ensure a safer province, especially for women and children. Through the Department of Community Safety, steps taken include, but not limiting to, 1, deployment of gender-based violence brigades in all wards. 2, appointment of dedicated GBVF social workers. 3, 610 safety volunteers participating as GBV brigades in Gauteng. Lastly, the launching of the floor management program within police stations to limit secondary victimization and waiting times for those reporting GBV crimes. Madam Deputy Speaker, it is important to note that green door facilities are safe sites that are situated within 5 kilometers of the local police station. This is where victims of abuse are offered services such as emotional containment, trauma debriefing, and referral to the nearest police station to open cases. By August 2022, over 1,100 victims had received support at these shelters. The motion further calls for the Department of Community Safety to do more in liaising with the national counterparts to provide adequate resources to all our victim empowerment centers across all our police stations. The province has a victim empowerment center unit which is responsible for the advocacy and support to the provincial victim empowerment program at police station level. Quarterly monitoring and support of victim empowerment service is prioritized to ensure provision of quality services. This unit further ensures that victim-friendly rooms are capacitated, functioning optimally, and provide quality services. While more still needs to be done, but our past and current decisive actions dispel the myth of the DA. Recently, the Premier of the ANC-led Gauteng provincial government in his State of the Nation province address acknowledged that gender-based violence is on the increase and indicated interventions to be undertaken by the government. He further indicated that women-owned businesses will be supported. This is part of solutions to curb gender-based violence through economically empowering women. Research indicates that women who are dependent on their partners find it hard to leave abusive relationships. 144 police stations have the responsibility of ensuring that each precinct has a dedicated room or space that is allocated for services that provide support and empowerment to victims of gender-based violence and victims of all crimes. In closing, Madam Deputy Speaker, I must state without doubt that the ANC-led government is committed to curb GBV. If we are to win the fight against gender-based violence, we need to move beyond seeking political popularity and unite for the end of gender-based violence. We equally must give credit where it is due. The song by Loyiso, the singer, titled Madoda Sabelani, resonates with my call in this August House today for all of us to unite in revolting against gender-based violence. I emphasize my call particularly on all men to rise and end gender-based violence. It is up to us. Tata Mandela once said, I quote, freedom cannot be achieved unless the women have been emancipated from all forms of oppression. Madoda Sabelani, bayafa, bayaphela bafazi. Malibongwe. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Secretary, please read the next order. Oh, sorry, I'm so sorry. Honorable Secretary, please reply, sorry. Relax.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Thank you to all the members who did not politicize this motion. Member Adams, thank you for understanding that not being a victim is even more reason to stand up for those who are. Member De Gamela, indeed the President hosted GBV summits here in Gauteng. However, not all the resolutions were implemented. He promised a Tembisa lady that was gang raped with a plastic bag that the perpetrators would be caught. 2 years later, the perpetrators are still roaming our streets. Member Engelbrecht, you are quite right. We cannot afford more ladies in Gauteng. Therefore, the importance to have sensitivity training for our police officers. Member Masilela, you have an acute understanding of a devolution, which is essential to bringing resources closer to our people. Member Ndlovan, I wonder where the DA was politicizing GBV. DA was with Gauteng communities. You failed to tell this House that not all police stations have victim-friendly rooms and raid kits. Member De Lange, indeed GBV has many facets and all forms should be confronted and prevented. Member De Jager, you're quite right. The stats point a bleak picture. The stories, gruesome pictures. Serious interventions are needed. Member Magagula, you brought your maturity in understanding that through that GBV knows no political boundaries. However, to all members, I want to say to you and leave you with this thought. I do not want to leave this house without telling you this. If the current measures are working, why are the number of GBV cases increasing at such a rapid rate? Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
Is the seconder? Honorable.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. We rise to transcend the petty political bickering and differing on the basis of just political affiliation. We rise to support the motion. Thank you.
Motion supported. Thank you. Honorable Secretary, please read the next order.
Thank you, Honorable Acting Speaker. Public Accounts Standing Committee Oversight Report on the Gauteng Provincial Unauthorized Expenditure Bill G003 of 2022. Thank you.
Honorable Kanyan.
The Acting Speaker, on behalf of the Chairperson of SCOPA, Honorable Kanyile, I'm going to present this unauthorized expenditure bill, and the parts that I'm not going to read, let them be taken as read. It's important to give you the background slowly so that you understand it, so that when we get to the vote, you understand what you are really voting for. The Gauteng Department of Health, which is vote 4, incurred an unauthorized expenditure during the 2005 and 6 financial year. This was confirmed in the report of the Auditor General of South Africa to the Gauteng Provincial Legislature on the financial statements of Gauteng Department of Health for the year ended 31st March 2006. On the 26th August 2012, the committee considered and adopted its report on the Gauteng Unauthorized Expenditure Bill without the 10,759,000 unauthorized expenditure incurred by the Department of Health. This was due to the failure of the department to provide the committee with adequate information to enable it to approve or not approve this unauthorized expenditure. Now, the department incurred the unauthorized expenditure on Program 8, Health Facility Management. Now, on the 25th November 2021, the committee received a request from the Gauteng Provincial Treasury to once again approve or not approve the unauthorized expenditure incurred by the Department of Health. Now, on the 4th May 2022, the committee requested the Gauteng Department of Health to provide additional information to enable it consider this amount which were incurred for 2005-6 financial year. The department provided the written response on the 10th May 2022, in which it categorically confirmed that it could not trace the relevant documents related to the unauthorized expenditure it incurred during the 2005-6 financial year. Now, as the committee, we explored all the processes. Public participation was done, where there were written submissions. We also explored the media houses so that they are really making input from various media houses. Consultation was done. The speaker referred to the committee, Treasury, the MEC of the Department of Health. Now, also, the committee considered a variety of issues. The socio-economic impact. If we do this, what are the implications? But now with the socio-economic impact, the Gauteng Provincial Treasury, they indicated that there will be no socio-economic impact because of the passing of the bill. We looked at the environmental impact. Again, the Gauteng Provincial Treasury also assured that there won't be any implications. But the financial implications, yes, because the amount of 10,759,000 not recommended for approval by SCOPA and also by the provincial legislature will become a direct charge against the budget of the department in terms of Section 34(2) of the Public Finance Management Act 1999, that is Act number 1 of 1999. Now, we looked at the constitutionality of the bill. A legal opinion was sought from the GPL's legal unit, which indicated that the bill is in line with the relevant provisions of the Constitution, as well as the Public Finance Management Act, and that there are no proposed amendments in respect of the bill. Now, the committee recommends that the committee supports the principle and the detail of the Gauteng Unauthorized Expenditure Bill. That's the recommendation from the committee. It says it supports the principle and the detail of the Gauteng Unauthorized Expenditure Bill. On that note, let me acknowledge members of the committee. On behalf of Honorable Kanyile, we have Honorable Kekana, Honorable Mnube, Honorable Mdise, Honorable A. Dilanye, Honorable Atkinson, Honorable Selirs, Honorable Randall, Badenhorst, and also we have really to acknowledge the MEC for Finance and also the staff. That's from Treasury and also from the Auditor General. And then we also acknowledge the staff of the committee. Now, after due deliberations, on the 21st February 2023, the Standing Committee on Public Accounts unanimously adopted its report on the Gauteng Unauthorized Expenditure Bill. In terms of the Standing Rule 117.2.c, read together with 164, the committee presents to this House the above-mentioned report for consideration and adoption. I thank you, Acting Speaker.
Do you have a seconder? Honorable Member Silias? Honorable Member Silias, I now put the questions. All those in favor say yes. Yes. All those not in favor say no. The yes have it. Thank you very much. Secretary, next order.
Thank you, DS. Consideration on the principle of the Gauteng Unauthorized Expenditure Bill G003 of 2022.
Honorable Kanyan.
Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker. The purpose of the bill is to provide the unauthorized of unapproved, unauthorized expenditure that was incurred by the Gauteng Department of Health for the year 2005-06 financial year. I therefore move for the adoption of the principle in terms of 223.2. Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker.
Honorable Silas. Thank you. I now put the questions. All those in favor say yes. Yes. Those not in favor say no. Thank you. The yes have it. Secretary, next order.
Decision on the principle of the Gauteng Unauthorized Expenditure Bill G003 of 2022.
Honorable Kanyan.
Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker. The amount of 10,759,000 not recommended for approval by the Standing Committee of Public Accounts of the provincial legislature, and that will become a direct charge against the budget of the department in terms of Section 34.2 of the Public Finance Management Act 1999, that is Act number 1 of 1999. This will effectively reduce the budget of the Gauteng Department of Health for the next or future financial years. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Is there a second, members? Honorable member. Okay.
Okay. I rise to second, Member Randall. Yes.
Oh, yes. The mic is off, yes, Speaker.
All my mics, sorry. Those not in favor say no. Thank you. Thank you very much. They have it, they yes have it. Secretary, next order.
Decision on the schedule to the Gauteng Provincial Unauthorized Expenditure Bill G003 of 2022.
Honorable members, I now put the vote. Vote for consideration by the House. Vote for Department of Health. All right, sorry about that. Those in favor of vote for, say yes. Yes. Those not in favor of vote for, say no. Okay, that is recorded. The order is adopted. Thank you. Secretary, please go to the next order.
Thank you, DS. The next order is decision on the schedule to the Gauteng Provincial Unauthorized Expenditure Bill G003 of 2022.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. The EFF rejects this unauthorized expenditure bill. The unauthorized expenditure bill that occurred in the financial year of 2005 and 2006, it's in contravention to the values of clean governance and existing laws of governance, including the Public Finance Management Act. SCOPA has the mandate to consider the circumstances that led to over 10 million unauthorized expenditure being incurred. As such, SCOPA has accordingly rejected the approval of this unauthorized expenditure within the Department of Health. The main reasons advanced for the unauthorized expenditure were in respect of payments to private security and procurement of machinery and equipment of the newly built Steve Biko Academic Hospital. The EFF believes the approval of this unauthorized expenditure is condoning further unauthorized expenditure which will reduce the provincial surpluses accumulated from previous financial years. The reasons advanced to justify the unauthorized expenditure are simply insufficient. This unauthorized expenditure, based on the information provided, seems to be due to poor planning, lack to financial systems, and blatant undue regard to the PFMA, which
Honourable
translates
members,
into
please.
disregard for the law. The committee recommendation to approve the unauthorized expenditure without concrete and precise steps taken to deal decisively with unauthorized expenditure demonstrate clear disregard for the PFMA, which requires clean certain steps to be taken by accounting officers. This has not taken place. We disagree that there was no social impact since the unauthorized expenditure will be the first charge against the funds allocated in the next or future financial years under the relevant vote. Moreover, unauthorized expenditure robs poor communities of much needed services in terms of the knock-on effect on overall spending by government. Therefore, until the PFMA is applied to its fullest, thieving and thuggery will continue to be the order of the day in this department as well as the Gauteng government departments. SCOPA should, in lieu of authorizing years of clear accountability and corruption, consider the following EFF recommendation as measures to ensure future accountability. To ensure accountability, SCOPA must institute forensic investigation into the department where this unauthorized expenditure occurred in 2005 and 6 financial year to determine the officers and manage responsible. SCOPA must set up joint ad hoc committees with health portfolio committees to ensure that the MEC process disciplinary measures against officials who permitted all unauthorized expenditure without fear or favor and regardless of the reasons. SCOPA must develop proactive ways that are governance-proof to detect all irregular expenditure, management, accounts of departments, and must also be presented upon request by members to the committees responsible for treasury and the SCOPA committee to allow for thoroughly scrutiny, preventing reckless spending and sheer looting. In conclusion, Madam Acting Speaker, the government will never budget properly if poor financial management is rewarded by a public accountants committee that sweeps unauthorized expenditure under the table and condones without sufficient justification, bearing in mind that condoning and authorizing are one and the same thing. The PFMA clearly outlines steps which must be taken in the case of irregular expenditure and must be followed as such, including disciplinary and criminal procedures. Millions of rands are wasted, looted, and this bill gives no attention, no concrete steps to deal decisively with unauthorized expenditure. The legislature must not be the body to cover up wrongdoing and blatant crime. It must rise above corruption if it expects society to take it seriously. Crimes do not rot. Whether the expenses was or were unauthorized in 2005 or 6 financial year, the law must and can take effect effectively. The EFF rejects this bill with the contempt it deserves.
Colleagues, our guests, you are not to participate in the bill, or rather in the proceedings. Thank you for the declaration. I put the question in terms of Rule 2236 on the schedule to the Gauteng Unauthorized Expenditure Bill, G003-2022. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Those who are not in favor, all those against say no. The yes have it. The yes have it in the schedule to the Gauteng Unauthorized Expenditure Bill, G003 is adopted. Member Modise, please. Expenditure Bill is adopted. Thank you. Secretary, the next order.
Motion in terms of Rule 1172A read with Rule 223 and Rule 224 on the adoption of the Gauteng Provincial Unauthorized Expenditure Bill G003 of 2022.
Si, Bababulo, sorry.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker. Let me take the opportunity to greet the Chief Whip, the entire executive led by the Premier, and all honorable members. I, the member of the Executive Council for Finance, Honorable Jacob Mamabulo, table the following motion in terms of Rule 1172A, read with Rule 223 and Rule 224 on the adoption of the Gauteng Provincial Unauthorized Expenditure Bill, that this House adopts the Gauteng Provincial Unauthorized Expenditure Bill 2022. And just to conclude that I'd also like to acknowledge and appreciate the spirit, the consensus that I saw in the SCOPA meeting, and I'm quite sure that it will prevail in this House. Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker.
I call for a seconder.
Again, I rise to second. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Silas. In terms of Rule 2237, the question on the adoption of a money bill is determined by roll call as follows. In terms of Rule 223, the question on adoption of a money bill shall be determined by a roll call. I now call on the Sergeant at Arms to ring the bell for 3 minutes, as agreed to by the whips in terms of Rule 109. The presiding officer will request, of course, that we respond as our names are called individually. I will request that the bells be rung, and then the secretary will now read out the names, of course, when we come back from the bell ringing. 3 minutes break, and when we come back, close doors, close anything and everything. Everybody must be back to the... Thank you. Thank you, honorable members. Okay, so we've got this now.
Now let's close the doors. And then we start with this critical moment. Honorable Mudise, let's have order.
Speaker.
Honorable Mudise, let's have order.
Chairperson.
You speak while you have been noted. Just wait a bit. Are the doors closed? Thank you very much. I got the indication. And now we're coming to the roll call. And coming to the roll call is a sequel from the consideration of this bill that was moved by the MEC. So there is no way where there can be any other issue. Now, with the roll call, I'll just explain that it's either you vote yes to this bill or you vote no to the bill. So it's yes or no. Now, our table assistants will read our names. All honorable members will read them, and also as indicated by the speaker, the acting speaker, that we've got the committee that will lock in, will allow that. But it's a matter of a roll call, and then after the roll call, then we'll also ask our Sergeant of Arms so that we are able to relieve the maize, and then we'll get the whips. Then the whips are the ones that will check with us in terms of the accounting. I'm just repeating this so that we are all au fait with the processes and the procedure of where we are. Now, I wanted to allow them to proceed in that fashion, but Honorable Masilela, you must give me the rule. Otherwise, I'm not going to allow you. Honorable Masilela?
Thank you. I'm standing on Rule 89.1,
No.
Chairperson.
It's not for, no.
Those
Sit
ones
down.
in
I'm not going to
virtual,
allow
I hope
you.
they're not going to vote.
You are not going to vote. You sit down. So let's allow. It's your decision. It's your decision. Thank you very much. It's your decision. You also abstain. We allow abstaining.
Listening to what
No,
Fatima Silela
thank you very
is
much. You can
saying.
also abstain.
She didn't say
It's a
that
very
she's
right.
not going to vote. She's saying she hopes that those that are attending visually are not going to vote. Not that she's not. You are not chairperson. Sit down.
I'm not.
Listening
Let's not
is a
sing.
skill. Understanding is such a bonus.
Can we keep quiet?
We are going to
No, let's keep quiet. Now, let's continue with the roll call, and we'll proceed in that fashion. It's up to you, our table assistants. Yes or no, or you abstain. Thank you.
Chair.
Is now joining.
Can we be quiet? I'm going to allow Honorable, the leader, to raise a point.
Yes. Thank you very much, Chair.
Let's give him a hearing.
We've agreed, Chair, that this process is physical, and it cannot be correct that when we go to vote, you include those that we've taken a decision that they must not participate in this meeting to vote.
That is not a decision.
Masilela?
That is not our decision.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, can I be protected from MEC of Home and Settlement? Thank you. Chairperson.
You are protected.
I'm protected. Thank you. Chairperson.
No, but Chair,
the,
order.
The acting speaker agreed.
Let's,
And
you'll come,
even
you'll come, you'll come.
She even, I'm going to give her word for you. And how?
But Speaker.
Deputy Chair, order.
We
can't allow.
Honorable Swali, you are noted.
But Speaker.
Chairperson, I'm writing in terms of Rule 88.
But Speaker, you recognize that.
Deputy Chair.
You have made your point.
Deputy Chair.
Speaker.
You have made your point, sit down.
To be bullied by the whips this side.
You have made your point, sit down. I heard what you have said. Let me give Honorable Hassan.
No, but Chairperson, you need to be
Deputy Chair, I want to call in
consistent.
order in terms of
Speaker.
Rule 88.
Chairperson.
To give effect to Rule 107. And I think this is
You have
very
been noted.
important.
Let me give you the rule.
Deputy Chair, thank
Chairperson.
you. Thank you, Deputy Chair.
Chairperson.
Rule 107
Chair.
speaks to voting
Chair.
of Deputy Chair.
Chair.
Don't allow that you are sit down. You will be allowed to speak.
You need to be consistent.
Yeah, sit down. You'll be allowed to
Chair,
speak.
you need to be very consistent.
Chairperson, can you call order, please, to Masilela? Masilela is out of order. Masilela is out of order.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chair.
Let's be quiet. You're being listened to. You're being listened to. You keep quiet. And then, what rule is that?
I'm rising on Rule 88. It's a point of order, but it's to give effect to Rule 107, which is voting. And Deputy Chair, I'm going to read from here. 107.1. Members may decide a question by calling yes or no after the presiding officer has put the question. Nowhere in the rule does it speak to whether it's a hybrid or physical sitting. It's to the discretion of the presiding officer, which is yourself, and I move for the procedure of voting. Thank you.
So that's actually, yes, you have really summarized the ruling.
You are out of order. We are calling order on you, Chairperson. You are out of order.
No, Chairperson.
The Speaker ruled that this sitting is physical. Even the voting will be physical. No. The acting speaker or the deputy speaker made a ruling here.
Let's proceed, Deputy Chair. You have made a ruling.
Chairperson, don't do that. Do not be partisan.
Proceed, Chairperson.
Do not be partisan.
Honorable Kanyane, let's proceed.
I don't even want the whips to get into this, because that ruling, it's my discretion. You must look at the rules. It's my discretion to decide about this.
Speaker. Sit down. Speaker. Order, Speaker.
The meeting is physical.
The meeting is physical.
Order, Speaker.
The speaker ruled out on that. The speaker ruled out that the meeting is physical. The speaker
Honorable
ruled out.
Kanyane, can we proceed, please?
You can't change the rules from the speaker.
Honorable Chairs, can we proceed, please? Can we proceed, Honorable Kanyan?
Let me address the House again.
Wants to break the rules,
Can I address the House again? Honorable Makwala, can you keep? I want to address the House.
You need to come back to your chair. Deputy Speaker, you are very progressive. You need to go and sit at your chair there.
Chairs, can you give me a hearing, please? Chairs.
Can I address the House for the last time?
Can you give me a hearing, please? Chair, can you give me a hearing, please?
Bedenost, can we have order? Can we have order? Yeah. Now, Honorable. We're going to proceed, but I want to address you. One, your mic is on. Honorable Bedenost, can you put it off? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so that is, we're not going to all sing. Now, what Honorable Hassan has raised, it is based on the rules. That is why I had to rule in favor of that preposition. Now, coming to you, Honorable Makwala, the point that you are raising, I'm not going to allow it further. If you have an issue, the rule allows you, it will go to a programming, and then we'll come back and give you. But we proceed under that protest. I'm not going to allow that. Otherwise, I'm going to use my powers now, because I don't want to come to that point.
Before you use your powers, Chair.
Yeah, I can allow that, but I'm going to close it, yes?
Yes, before you use your powers, the decision has been taken before you come in here. And you can't come and say that you are changing it because it's your discretion. The decision has been taken before you can come in here. And all of us took that decision. It must be respected.
Honorable Chief Whip.
No, thank you very much, Deputy Chair of Chairpersons. The House is guided by the rules, not by common sense. This House adopted in 2020 what we term the rules for virtual House sittings. And I would ask the staff of the legislature to furnish members, the newly sworn-in members who are members of this legislature, that in addition to the rules we have, the House would have adopted the virtual rules, which permits your ruling. And these virtual rules, everyone has it. The longest serving member of the EFF in the House,
is still on is protected.
Wait, this is not your house.
Look, you sit down.
This is not your house. It's not your house in Alexander. It's not your shack in Alexander. You are not in your house in Alexander. You are not in Strata. This is not Gomorrah. Yes, this is not Gomorrah. It's not London. Honorable Speaker.
No, you were still on the floor.
Yes.
You interrupted.
Recognize me on a point of order. I'm rising on Rule 89.
Which order are you?
89.1.
Yes.
Yes. You are consistently accommodating the ANC on this matter when we've agreed all of us.
Chairperson, order.
That this sitting.
Order. Nobody can order on this one.
Let's respect the order.
You're not protecting me.
Let's respect the order.
Deputy Chair.
Look,
Deputy Chair.
But Chairperson, can you protect this member?
Order.
Can you protect this member?
Let's give him a minute.
Be consistent, do not be partisan. Protect this member.
Yeah, he's protected. He's protected.
Yes,
He's protected.
Be consistent.
He's protected. Sit down.
But the member is still speaking. You're not protecting me.
Okay, let's give him. We're coming to you.
This fellow get to speak without raising a rule.
Chairperson, member Mapala rose on a point of order and recognized him.
How does this fellow get to speak without talking?
You're making the member of the ANC to make noise without being recognized.
But then Chairperson, you cannot run around.
You are allowing that member to make noise without being recognized.
We can't have this. You recognize him. Protect him. He was on a point of order. Deputy Speaker, Chairperson. I will show them. them to come in and remove us.
Is now exiting.
Yeah, now here is the position. When we started with this sitting, the Deputy Speaker, he made it very clear to say there is a committee that was permitted to go overseas. It was mentioned. And now when we come to the voting, that committee, not everybody,
Unknown
is that
participant
committee that
is
will
now
log
joining.
in. That's what we agreed upon when we started with this meeting.
Speaker.
No, don't sing, don't just sing. Don't just sing.
Speaker, they are telling you we were not here. Where was the ruling you were speaking about being made?
I'm saying.
There was never such a ruling. There was never such a ruling. Go back to the secretary, and there was never such a ruling.
All right, sit down.
We're taking a decision that this is a physical sitting and there is no electronics.
Yeah, I think you need really to understand here. When we start, we said those we went for the study tour, they will be part of this. I'll allow you, Honorable Mdise, and then I close it, then we move on. And then those who don't want to, then we'll give it the way.
You didn't want to allow Honorable Pepe
Thank you so much, Chair. You know, it's unfortunate that we are going to be held at ransom by people who were here when the meeting started. Listening is not a skill. Listening is not a skill. Listening is a requirement. You are required to listen in order to engage. When the Deputy Speaker was sitting there, she made it clear
Unknown
for
participant
everyone who
is
was
now
sitting in the
exiting.
meeting that there's a committee that is on the international study tour. That committee is the only committee, or those who are in that tour are the only people who are going to log into the meeting virtual. Everyone else is expected to be in the house. I don't understand this excitement that we are going to be told this is not Soweto, this is not London. But
It's
where
not
does
an
it come from?
excitement. It's
Chair,
not.
the decision has long been taken, and then we're moving.
I'm not going to allow anybody. We are proceeding. We are proceeding. We are not going to allow you.
No,
you
must
sit
allow
down,
me according
Makwala.
to the law.
Honorable Makwala, you sit down. Honorable Makwala, you sit down. You can go to the
rules. You can't do it. Even the deputy speaker cannot
sit
do
down.
it.
Sit down, Makwala. We sit down, we are proceeding.
Recognize me on Rule 89(1).
We are proceeding. You sit down. If you have an issue, you'll be taken out.
Speaker, you can't proceed like that. This is not your meeting in a college where you just take a decision. You can't proceed like that. Allow my point of order to be heard.
How many of them went to overseas?
Name those who went to overseas.
Sit down.
Allow my point of order to be heard.
No, sit down. You have made your point of order.
Yes.
You made your point of order,
Yes.
and we are responding to you.
Yes.
And then the response is,
and then you are
sit down, I respond to you. You sit down. Can you put that one off?
Speak.
Can you put it off?
Let's address you, Chair.
Yeah.
Don't throw members with your fingers. Don't be personal about this.
Can you put that one off?
Don't be personal about this thing.
That's great.
Don't expose all the taken or elected that you must be there.
You have made a ruling,
You are not going to behave like this. Members of the must be there. Must be given a full opportunity to speak. You can't behave like that. There is an order.
You have made a ruling. Please proceed.
No, we cannot do this. If there's any issue that we cannot do this. We cannot proceed. We cannot proceed.
You must preserve to the rules commit.
Who went overseas? Tell us. Who went overseas? Because people were not part of the meeting. But they come back.
Tell us the number of the people that went overseas. Tell us the number. How many people went there?
Switch your mic off.
No.
Yeah, let me, we are proceeding, but address you for the last time. Yeah, let's not exchange. Yeah, we've won it.
Chair, proceed. Chair.
Proceed.
Can you sit down?
Proceed, Chair.
I'm going to address you. Sit down.
to recognize me.
Yeah, I'm going to address you. I'm going to address you.
You are going to recognize me.
Look, I'm saying I'm going to address the point that you've
And
raised.
you are going to recognize me. You are not addressing my matter
Sit down.
properly. You are not addressing the matter properly. Refer or revert back to your
Chairperson.
and they will tell you that there's never been that ruling.
You have made a ruling.
Individual will not participate into this peaceful
You have
process.
made a ruling. You can't make
I cannot.
You can't
Can you
allow
switch
for
off?
any discussion after your own ruling.
You can't make the deputy speaker.
Switch it off.
The deputy speaker has already made a ruling. You
Mara
can't
five,
come here and
Mayana.
override that
Switch it
ruling
off.
of the deputy speaker. You can't come
Chair.
here and override the ruling
You
from the
have
deputy
made a
speaker.
ruling.
It cannot
You
be
can't
correct.
allow for a discussion
You must give members
thereafter.
an ample time to explain. It can't be.
Chair, you have made a ruling. You can't entertain a
We
discussion
won't
thereafter.
allow
It's
the
very
ghost
simple.
voting of people who went overseas. How many? No bogus voting here. How many people went overseas? Tell us.
coalition partners now. The coalition partners are
Yeah, let me, I've made a ruling. Now, let me address you with professionally. Let me give you professionally. I'm saying to you, when we started with the meeting, this sitting, the acting speaker, when we started with this sitting, it was very clear. The deputy speaker made it very clear to say, we have the committee safety that has gone overseas. We have got the names, and we can read the names if you want them. But this is the only committee that will participate in this house. That is one. But now, the point that we are raising, if ever you dispute what I'm saying, there is Hansard that we can really get all this. For now, I'm proceeding. Whoever, then that's not. Let's continue with the list. We are moving on. And we continue.
Speaker, Chairperson.
Can we read and go on?
No, don't be emotional. Don't be emotional. Don't be emotional. You are not part of this bill. Don't be emotional.
Continue with the list.
Chairperson.
Yeah, no.
Chairperson.
Yeah, let them switch or
Chairperson.
We want to vote, but we are not here for these people. They are bored. We are not bored here.
Can we proceed? We'll take whoever is there. Can we proceed with this?
Proceed, Chair. Proceed.
No. Yeah, proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chair of Chairs.
Can we just have a list of the members that went to overseas, please? Can we just have a list of those people sitting in the committee?
of safety, but we are here. People of safety are here. They never went overseas. Who went overseas? Under safety?
Speaker, I'm sorry,
Who went
I-
overseas?
Chairperson.
Says
Thank you
here,
very much,
please note,
Chairperson.
2nd March is a physical meeting, and that is by order of the Speaker. Thank you.
And a deputy chairperson. From where I'm sitting here, I'm the member of that committee. Yes,
Let
but
me.
we don't know
Let
anything
me.
about the trip to
Let me. I'm now reading this. I'm going to rule. I'm going to rule. I'm going to read Rule 97. Honorable members, we are going to proceed. Whoever disturbed the processes, we are taking him out. Whoever were using the rule,
Which rule?
whatever you,
Which rule?
we go to rule 97.
97.
Yes.
But before.
And if you are suspended, exactly. I never recognized the honorable member from UFF. I'm not going to allow any hand. I'm not going to recognize any hand. And if we are going to the eviction.
Even when we evict you, there won't be media.
The sitting is physical.
You are wasting your time.
The sitting is physical. The sitting is physical. The sitting is physical. The sitting is physical. How?
Yeah, I'm now starting with Honorable Makwala. I'm starting with you, Honorable Makwala. Can you sit down? I'm now addressing Makwala directly. Can you sit down?
On you.
Can I address you directly?
I'm writing on Rule 93.
Can I address you?
I'm writing on Rule 93.
Sit down.
Now, hear me out. Don't listen to these noises. Hear me out. I'm a member of this house. Hear me out. I'm writing on Rule 93. Sit down. Go back to Gomorrah. Sit down. Go to Gomorrah.
We are members here.
Sit down.
Can I address you?
Recognize me on Rule 93. Before you go to Rule 97, recognize me on Rule 93.
If that is how you address your children, you are not going to address us as such. If you address your children as hey, hey, you are not going to do that to us. You do that in your own house, not to us.
Yeah. Honorable Makwala, can you sit down?
No, I'm rising on Rule 93.
Can you sit down?
I'm rising. You're not assisting.
I'm not allowing you. I'm not allowing you. I'm not allowing you. I'm not allowing you.
I'm rising on Rule 93.
I think, Honorable Makwala, I said to you 3 times, you don't want to cooperate. I'm now making a ruling that you keep quiet but be in the house. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I've addressed specifically Honorable Makwala that he will be in the house, he's going to keep quiet, he's not going to participate. Honorable Makwala, with Rule 97, I'm now addressing you. I wanted you
Don't be emotional.
to
That's
withdraw.
a problem. Don't be emotional. That's your problem. Allow me to stand on 93 first.
I
Before you
start
move
with
to-
it.
Allow me to rise on Rule 93 first. You can't be selective on these rules.
Okay. Now we are moving on. Continue with the processes. Okay.
Chairperson, I think you must be taken to the ethics committee. Chairperson.
Can we continue? Can we continue?
Chair, continue.
You're allowing this house to engage in illegal activity.
Let's continue.
No! Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chair of Chairs. This house must not continue with illegal activity. I will start from row first. Onward.
But let's, yeah, just wait.
Which is uncalled for and incorrect.
Chairperson, I think you must be referred to the ethics committee. You cannot talk to us pointing your finger at us. You must be referred to the Ethics Committee, Speaker, or you are a chairperson.
It's an order. Order, Chair.
Honorable Makwala, Honorable Makwala, for the first time, I'm saying for the last time, you withdraw whatever you've been saying.
I withdraw what?
And then forcing to speak without being allowed to speak.
Okay. So, Speaker, I'm willing to withdraw, but
Thanks.
you are doing.
Well, let them withdraw you from that seat because we don't know what you are doing there.
Honorable Makwala, let me just make it clear. The point that I raised, is for everybody. Yeah, let's
ANC is making noise. I can't hear you.
Let's
You're
have
afraid of
order,
addressing
then
them.
we move. The point that I'm raising, and which is really orderly. You're making noise. The point that I'm raising, which is really orderly, is the fact that the Deputy Speaker, when you started, he made it very clear to say there are honorable members that are on study tour. That's the point that we stick on. That can also be accessed on the Hansard. And then we have also their names here. These are the only that we're going to allow them to participate in this process. That's the point that we're making as the House. But
not
now,
as the House.
anything that is outside this, we don't really allow it. And that's the point that you are suppressed on.
Okay, thank you, Speaker. So that's correct. So we have not agreed on that one as the House. And the biggest problem that we're making is to think that you are sitting this side while you are that side. The Deputy Speaker has never ruled that. Chair. Tell Rick Ross to give me a chance. He's not contributing with anything this man.
Well, look,
he's not contributing with anything this man.
you're wasting our time by just responding.
Protect me from this noisemaker.
This fellow has been speaking for a couple of times.
Look, I said you must look.
Let's get the answer. Who's
Hold on. Protect me from this
multiple times he has been raising the same issue.
Let me take it out. Ralph, I think he has to be addressed him several times. Let me just go.
Chair, please.
One more, get the decision from him out. I tried to explain Honorable Makwala. I tried to explain Honorable Makwala. I'm now taking the Sergeant of Arms that must escort you out to be outside the House. Can we take him out of the House?
Chair, we asked you to be consistent and not be partisan.
going to be removed by the
Why are you calling Sergeant at Arms for? What did Member Makwala do?
You are not consistent. You are not consistent.
Chairperson, what did Member Makwala do for you to call Sergeant at Arms? Chairperson.
Chairperson, may I call point of order? May you please apply Rule 93?
Yes. He doesn't know it. Must be consistent. Very good.
Yeah, and thank you, Honorable Ramulifu. Actually, the 93 is the one that we are trying to exercise to make sure that there is order in the house. But now, if people keep on howling, obviously, and that is the last, you could see how we are trying to address members who are becoming so inconsistent with what it is, and we all agree. And in terms of the agreement, you must get it very clear. There's no way where the speaker will say, let's agree. It was not opposed when he put all the matter on the table. And that's why, in terms of the process, that is the process, the procedure that we've already taken. But now, 93 is about maintaining order in the House.
Yes.
And that's what's supposed to happen.
Yes.
But now, if you go to 95, if you want to get it very clear,
But
now,
before
they
we
want,
get to that,
and you can read it.
Chair.
That's where. That's where you already see, Honorable Makwala.
Chair.
We've been trying our best
Chair.
to accommodate you.
Yeah, Chair,
and
we
that's
heard
why
you.
now one will have to be tempted to move to Rule 97. But now,
No,
the
let's wait with
agreement
Rule
is
97, Chair, we
you
heard you.
all had these members that went, and we're not going to really to change it. Because that can be accessed in the, look, don't respond to each other. I'll call members. Members are quiet. You are quiet. You are all quiet. You're all quiet.
The honorable member has raised on Rule 93 to say that there must be order in this House.
That's
and
true.
you allow members of the ANC to continue insulting members of the EFF. You are not consistent, Chief. Call those agents at arms, you will call agents at arms to you.
Honorable
No,
Swallow.
Negroes must wait, man. You come into this House through a ticket of
Look,
howling.
keep quiet so that everybody keeps quiet. Honorable Swallow, let's have order, Honorable Swallow.
Chairperson, I will not be told by a male chauvinist to tell me to shut up in this House.
You'll be
I was
ordered
not
to draw.
addressing him. Speaker, I was not, Chairperson, I was not addressing that member.
Why do you address him?
He cannot tell me to shut up.
But did you not hear?
In this House.
Let's keep quiet.
Speaker,
Let's all keep quiet.
we told you when we started that you need, or Chairperson is fine.
Let me tell you,
We told
Honor-
you that you need to be consistent.
Can you sit down?
You said people are, you said we are howling inside this
Yeah,
house, right?
sit down.
Now you want to maintain order. You just said you are not calling Sergeant at Arms for Honorable Member Makwala for howling. Are you going to call those people for him only? What about those people calling us, telling us that we are drunk? We came here drunk, telling us to shut up.
Can you sit down and then address
No,
that
don't
issue?
do that. Be consistent with
Exactly.
your rulings and
Exactly.
don't do that.
No, the
Do
member.
not do that.
Look. When you
Do
speak,
not be partisan.
What?
That man
Sit
cannot
down.
tell me to shut up here.
look, sit down.
No, you can read that thing.
Yeah,
it's
but
fine.
sit down.
But he is not going to tell me to shut up.
Sit down.
Are you going to protect me?
Yes, sit down.
Are you going to protect
Sit
me?
down.
That man telling me that I must shut up. Is that the language that we use in this house?
Sit down. Sit down
He must
first.
withdraw that. Or you must. There's no such an arm that
Yeah, sit down so that we give other members. Honorable members.
Deputy Chair.
When you speak, you must speak through the speaker. You can't speak among yourselves.
Rule 86.
It doesn't
Deputy Chair.
happen that way. You don't talk among yourselves. It must be through the speaker. So the point is, we are addressing Honorable Makwala, and I don't want really to move anywhere. I was just addressing because you are the one who raised that point of order.
Yes.
And now I told you that in terms of agreement, there is no way the deputy speaker raised it, and that was never challenged, and that's the matter of the House. So we are proceeding in that particular fashion.
Thank you.
But a dialogue is not really.
It's not a dialogue, it's on 89.1. Speaker, I do not. Speaker.
We are proceeding, Honorable Makwala.
Honorable
We are
Deputy Chair.
proceeding, Honorable Makwala. So I'm not going to allow you.
You are suppressing me.
Yes.
Honorable Deputy
So,
Chair. of
no.
Committees.
It's sitting down. Let's continue. Yeah, continue, Honorable. Let's continue.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chair of Chairs. start with row one.
Before, Speaker.
M.E. Kumalo.
No, the list of the people who are participating. Read it out. Read it out.
Speaker.
Read them out so that we continue. We've got
question of
one,
clarity.
I'm reading them out.
Question of
One.
clarity.
There's a hand here.
We've got E.S. Malubani. We've got W. Masuku. We've got S. Kanyile.
Question of
We've got
clarity, Chair.
C. Bosch. We've got P. Atkinson. So
Question of
those are the
clarity.
members.
It's not
So I'm not going to allow
recognizing
anybody, and then let's continue.
Are you the deputy chair now?
Speaker, question of clarity.
I was speaker.
It's a question of clarity.
Let's continue. Yeah?
Question of clarity.
Honorable Dilanye, for the first time, your clarity.
It's clarity.
Yeah.
Speaker, thank you. Deputy Speaker, thank you very much.
Yeah.
I just want some clarity.
Speaker, protect this member here.
I just want some clarity so I don't get confused coming with next sittings, please. We had correspondence yesterday indicating this is only a physical. Now we're here, now it's something different. Just clarify
No, yeah.
when
I
and
wanted
where.
I wanted you to point the rules. It was not there. Then let's continue. Continue. No, let's continue. We're not going to wait for anybody. Let's continue. We're not going to interject.
Deputy Chair, you called the name of Atkinson and he's here. One of the names that you called out.
Can
is
you
here.
continue?
Atkinson.
Yeah, proceed. Yeah, we're proceeding. Yeah, but just raise will ticket. If we start, they're going to keep quiet. Yeah. Read the rule.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chair of Chairs.
Chair.
One of the names that you called out is here. The person is here.
We don't have Speaker. Chairperson, we don't trust your list. Lindsay. Chairperson, we don't trust your list. One of the names that you just read out, the person is here. One of the names that you read out, the person is here. Physically. So, we don't trust your list.
I don't know where
We don't trust your list. One of the person, the names that you read out, the person is here. The person is here.
Deputy Chair.
No. We don't trust your
Deputy
list.
Chair.
So those people on Bishop, they are not voting.
We don't trust your list.
you are.
Keep it to yourself.
Once somebody stands up, then you are taken out. That is the last warning.
Honorable Atkinson is
You
here.
do whatever
We
you
don't
do,
trust your
you are
list.
leaving.
Keep it to
Let's-
yourself. Whoever is here will vote.
Let's
Whoever is not
let's
here is not
continue.
gonna vote.
Speaker,
Look, I'm not, Makwala, I'm not going to allow you any
I'm
longer.
worried that you are not doing
I'm
justice.
not going to allow you.
No, we can't just do things because
I'm
we want
not
do
going
things.
to allow you. We're continue. Whoever stand up, you're going to be taken
I'm
out.
raising on a point of order.
We're going to be taken out if there's somebody who stand up.
Do
When is
not
this?
suspend the rules. Do not
I
suspend
warned
the
you for
rules
the
of
last
the
time.
House.
You do this, you are going out.
You do not suspend the rules of the
No
House.
dialogue. What is this dialogue?
Do not suspend the rules of the House. Honorable Deputy.
Makwala, you are out with Rule 97.
What?
You are out.
What does 97 say?
House Chair. Rule 86.
Speaker.
Not going to allow anything. Otherwise, you'll be evicted out. I gave you the warning more than 3 times. I know it. No, you must just sit down. You are not recognized.
Rule 86.
Sit down. You are not recognized. Can we continue?
House
You are
Chair.
not recognized at all. So, let's continue.
House Chair.
Let's continue.
Mara is sharing one house bill.
On a point of order.
MEC Khumalo, and Komoraloko.
Yeah, speak loudly so that we can see.
No, Speaker. Do not communicate with the
No.
Speaker.
Look, why, Ralph, the speaker must be rescued.
Yeah, but don't confuse. Recognize us, please.
Mapuja, send the talent punch to Ben. Talent punch to
Speaker, Chairperson, Chair, why are you not recognizing Honorable Member Makwala? Can you have an explanation, please?
Yes.
He's a member of this house.
Bizan Kamalam. The next name?
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chair of Chairs, MEC Khumalo.
Honorable Skuma.
En Komoraloko.
Yes.
El Maile.
Yes.
PJ.
Continue.
PJ Mama Bolo.
Yes.
NM Klangasa Manamela.
Yes.
AWMK Msupui.
Yes.
So, Speaker, this is not an ANC
NAM
word.
Mafukuya.
Where you agree with the chief whip of ANC to do things according to
NMA
Members
Mafukuya.
who are in this house are not members of the ANC. We're going to do you justice. We're not going to do things in a corrupt way.
NMA
Secretary Wade.
Mfukuya.
Secretary Wade. Wade, Secretary.
Can you hear?
Speak.
Yes.
Thank you.
Speaker, the EFF refuses to legitimize this illegal process. The EFF refuses to legitimize this illegal process conducted by you, and as a result, will not participate in this illegal process conducted by you. You are saying we must move, we will move through your guidance.
ES Malubani.
Yes.
Salary 8 million.
MJ Kanyan. TE Magagula. MEC Khumalo. Okay. Eli Sufi.
Yeah, I think let's start from the beginning. We read them properly. And I hope now it's very clear. Let's continue.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chair of Chairs. Eli Sufi.
Yes, I vote yes.
MEC Khumalo. MK Chilwane. N Komoraloko.
Yes.
LI Maile.
Yes.
PJ Mamabulo.
Yes.
KP Diale Tlabela.
Yes.
NM Tlagasa Manamela. AWMK Msupuye.
Yes.
MD Klope. MA Mfuke. MMA Mfukwe. Mfukwe. MMA Mufukwe. NF Mazibuku.
Yes. I vote yes, Mazibuko, yes.
Timutara.
Yes.
ES Malubani.
Yes.
MG Kanyani. TE Magagula. MG Mudise.
Yebo.
GD Skiman.
Yebo.
WM Matseke. JMPC.
Yes. Yes.
JMPC.
Yebo.
Dr. BEW Masuku.
Yes.
Dr. BEW Masuku.
Yes.
BP Ngube.
Yes.
Dr. N.E. Mukheti.
Yes.
RJ Kikana.
Yes.
TB Munyai.
Yes.
DP Malema.
Yes.
DC Lidwaba.
Yes.
F. Hassan.
Yes.
Dr. M.R. Paladi Dikhamela.
Yes.
Teen Dovu.
Yes.
B. Ilitswalo.
Yes.
S. Kanyile.
Yes.
S. M. Litsie.
Yes.
L. E. Makubela.
Yes.
A. N. Jovan.
Yes.
S. T. Msimanga. S. T. Msimanga. J. B. Bloom. I. E. Mukwevo. I. E. Mukwevo. A. W. Alberts.
Yes.
Bishop D. K. Adams.
Yes.
B. W. Dlamini. B. W. Dlamini. A. G. Fuchs.
Yes.
B. A. Engelbrecht. B. A. Engelbrecht. N. S. Duplessis.
Yes.
R. Ntsege.
Yes.
N. Ramulifo.
Yes.
B. F. Vandenhoff. Kato,
Yes, yes.
P. Makwela, ND Jogwe, PDN Mdlagankomu,
Matume, yes.
WD Pitch, AM Randall,
Yes.
R. Robertson,
ME Kumalo, yes, I had network
EP
problem.
Duplessis,
Yes.
AW Silias,
Yes.
FP Nell,
Yes.
JJ Hoffman, JJ Hoffman, A.D. Lange, M.A. Masole, El Masilela, B. McKenney, N.D. Adebe, M.S. Koma, M.H. Sirota,
Yes.
M.S. Chabalala,
Yes.
J. Miller,
Yes.
C. Bosch, C. Bosch, S.J.P. Dos Santos,
Yes.
N.M.D. Dijager,
Yes.
P.G. Acterson,
Yes.
R. Mukhale, R. Mukhale,
Yes.
ME Kumalo, yes, I had a network problem.
Point of order.
Thank you very much for the counting.
May I raise a point of order?
Nell.
Hopefully with less chaos. Chair, I rise in 80 in terms of 89.1, but also referring to Rule 110. I want your ruling on members who voted online who joined after the doors were closed because they couldn't actually vote. And I'm not sure that you monitored that situation. So that's a one. And secondly, you allowed members to vote who are not with the safety committee. I recognize that there are enough votes in the House to pass this, so I'm not disputing that the bill has passed. But I do think it is time for the whips and the Speaker to come together to make sure that we get voting in an orderly fashion in this House in the future. Thank you.
Taken care of, and thank you for that. Yeah, I think this will be very quick. We'll take only 2 minutes for counting, and I just suspend for 2 minutes, and then we continue. You'll get the results very quick, very soon. Thank you. Yeah, let's get seated. We are resuming the sitting. Let's get seated so that we announce the results. And in terms of the yes, we have 46, that's yes. Now, the one that we count as spoiled, they are 6, and I'll explain. There are those who were online who responded, but they were not part of the trip. So we counted it as spoiled. Actually, there are 5. The 6th one is the response from Medilangi to say, I'm present. So that's why we included it that way. Now, those absent, that's 19. And those who did not vote at all, that's 2, to make it 73. Now, in terms of announcing, the yes will have it, but I wanted the whips to come forward and sign, and from there, then we'll be moving to the end of the sitting. But let me get the whips, but the yes is the one that really voted for this. Sergeant of Arms, let's resume before that. Thank you very much, honorable members. Let me just indicate that I know the sitting took longer than expected, but members will really understand that these are new members that are still going through the rules. But we have to be very harder, and they are getting orientated. They'll really get there. Now, this sitting is in 2 parts. We're going to adjourn our sitting, but we're going to request members to remain for another 10 minutes. We have the AG item that we took out of the order paper. So the AGCA is going to address us for just 10 minutes about the new approach of AG, and from there we disband completely. But for now, this sitting is adjourned, and we are going to meet on Thursday, the 9th, that is for the budget speech of the province. On that one, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much. Honorable members, members.